She screamed, "You can't be here. This is our house now." But I was the one holding the deed. I stood at the edge of the mountain road, the cold air biting through my jacket. It had been 6 months since I bought the old abandoned house up here, quiet land. No neighbors, perfect for peace. Or at least, that's what I thought. When I came back after renovation plans got delayed, I froze at the sight. My front gate, my locked front gate, was wide open. Fresh tire marks on the gravel. And through the trees, smoke rose from my chimney. At first, I thought maybe squatters had broken in. But as I walked closer, my heart sank. The place wasn't trashed. It was decorated. A shiny SUV sat in the driveway. Toys scattered across the porch. Someone had even planted flowers near the steps. I felt my stomach twist. Before I could knock, the door swung open. A woman with blonde hair and too much perfume stepped out, holding a mug like she owned the world. She looked me up and down with disgust. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "Can I help you?" I blinked. "Yeah. I think you're living in my house." She laughed, a short, fake laugh that scraped my nerves. "Your house? Honey, this is HOA property. We took care of it after it was abandoned." My jaw clenched. "It's not HOA property. I bought it last year." I reached into my jacket pocket to pull out the folded deed. She didn't even look at it. She snapped her fingers toward the window where a teenage boy peeked out. "Tommy. Call your dad. Someone's trespassing again." Again. I stood there, speechless. As a man in a golf shirt came out with the same arrogant expression. "Buddy," he said, "you really shouldn't mess around up here. This is private community land. HOA rules." I shook my head slowly. "There's no HOA. This mountain was never part of your community." The woman smirked. "Oh, sweetie, you'll learn. We handle things differently up here." She waved a thick envelope in my face, an official HOA notice. Complete with fake letterhead. "Failure to vacate may result in police involvement," it read. I looked her dead in the eye. "Call them." Her smile faltered for the first time. Because deep down, I could already tell, she wasn't bluffing. She believed she owned this place. And something about that scared me more than anything. The sound of police sirens echoed before I even reached my truck. She really did it, she actually called them. The mountain air went still. Except for the flicker of red and blue lights bouncing off the trees. 2 officers stepped out of their SUV, hands resting on their belts. The woman, Karen, was already performing her scene. "That's him, officers. He broke in. He's threatening my family." Her voice trembled, perfectly fake. I raised my hand slowly. "This is my property," I said calmly. "I have the deed right here." The older officer, with a gray mustache and a tired look, exchanged glances with his partner. "Sir, just step aside for now," he said. "Let's sort this out." Karen crossed her arms, smirking. "You'll find he doesn't belong here. I told you, HOA has full rights to this land." I handed over the papers, original deed, signed, sealed, recorded. The younger officer inspected it, brow furrowing. But before he could speak, the man in the golf shirt interrupted. "That paper's fake," he said loudly. "This man's been harassing us for weeks. My wife's terrified." The officer looked between us. I could feel my pulse rising. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. Karen stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You people think you can buy anything, don't you? Not here. Not this time." I froze. The venom in her tone wasn't just anger, it was hate. Then, without warning, the man reached toward my truck, pulled open the door, and shouted. "He's got something in here." The younger cop rushed over, hand on his weapon. "Step back, sir." "Whoa, whoa," I said, my heart pounding. "There's nothing." But then Karen gasped dramatically. "He's armed." That one word turned everything. The officer spun toward me, gun drawn. "Hands up." I obeyed, slowly raising them as the cold air stung my face. I'm a veteran, I said quietly. Check the glove box. It's a registered firearm. I've done nothing wrong. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, as the tension thickened, the older cop leaned in and whispered something to his partner. They both stepped back. Karen's smug expression softened to confusion. The officer looked at me again. But this time with something different in his eyes. Recognition. Wait, he said. You're Sergeant Miles Carter. From the 9th Battalion. I nodded slowly. Retired. You served under Commander Ruiz, right? The cop's shoulders relaxed. He's my uncle. Karen's face drained of color. I finally lowered my hands and said quietly, now. Can we talk about who's really trespassing here? Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. The confident smirk she wore moments ago was gone. The officers exchanged quick looks, and the older one spoke first. Ma'am, he said firmly, you said this was HOA property. Can you show us any paperwork for that claim? Karen hesitated, clutching the fake notice tighter. Of course I can. I just didn't bring it out here. My husband has it. The man in the golf shirt forced a weak laugh. Right, honey. It's inside. Go get it, the officer said, voice suddenly sharp. He didn't move. The younger officer crossed his arms. Sir, either bring out that proof or step away from the house. That's when I noticed it, their car in the driveway had no plates. Not even temporary tags. And the locks on my front door were new, different from the ones I installed. They'd completely moved in, pretending it was theirs. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. The confident smirk she wore moments ago was gone. The officers exchanged quick looks, and the older one spoke first. Ma'am, he said firmly, you said this was HOA property. Can you show us any paperwork for that claim? Karen hesitated, clutching the fake notice tighter. Of course I can. I just didn't bring it out here. My husband has it. The man in the golf shirt forced a weak laugh. Right, honey. It's inside. Go get it, the officer said, voice suddenly sharp. He didn't move. The younger officer crossed his arms. Sir, either bring out that proof or step away from the house. That's when I noticed it, their car in the driveway had no plates. Not even temporary tags. And the locks on my front door were new, different from the ones I installed. They'd completely moved in, pretending it was theirs. I finally spoke. They've been living here for how long? Karen snapped, since April. The house was abandoned, and the HOA voted to manage it. We fixed it up, made it better. I couldn't help but let out a short, humorless laugh. You broke in, redecorated, and decided that meant ownership. She glared at me. We saved it. It was falling apart before we came. The older officer nodded toward me. Mr. Carter, we'll check county records right now. Stay calm. I am calm, I said quietly, though my fists were trembling. Karen's husband muttered under his breath. You think a piece of paper makes this your house? People like you don't even. Finish that sentence, I said, my voice low but steady. He shut his mouth. Minutes later, the officers confirmed what I already knew. My name. My deed. My land. Karen tried to spin it again. Well, maybe the HOA paperwork hasn't updated yet. The cop cut her off. Ma'am, there is no HOA listed for this mountain area. Silence fell. Then the officer turned to me. You want to press charges? Before I could answer, Karen suddenly shouted, You don't understand. He's dangerous. He has guns in his truck. Her husband grabbed her arm. Stop talking. But she didn't. He thinks he's a soldier still. He threatened us. The younger cop shook his head. Enough. Both of you, step back. As they started separating the couple, I finally noticed something odd, a security camera mounted under the porch roof. Wait, I said. You installed that. Karen hesitated. Yeah, so what? I smiled slowly. Then it must have footage of everything you did. Her face fell completely pale. Because that camera was about to tell the truth neither of them could lie their way out of. The officers followed me toward the porch as I pointed at the small black camera under the roof beam. The husband tried to block the door, stammering, "That's private property now, you can't." "Not anymore," the older cop said, pushing past him. "If this camera's on Mr. Carter's house, that footage is his." Inside, the house looked like a cheap version of what I dreamed it would be. New paint, fake farmhouse signs, and family photos taped over my walls. My chest tightened. They'd erased every sign that I ever owned this place. Karen hovered behind us, voice trembling between anger and panic. "You have no right to be in here. You'll regret this." I ignored her and pulled the DVR system from behind the TV. The officers stood beside me as I plugged it into my laptop. The moment the screen flickered on, I knew it was over. The first clip showed them breaking the locks. Her husband drilling the new ones in. Karen standing on the porch, holding that fake HOA letter like it was a trophy. Then came the worst part, her talking to someone on the phone. Saying, if anyone shows up claiming they own it, call 911 and say he's armed. They'll take him down fast. The room went silent. The officers just stared. Karen whispered, That's not what it looks like." But it was. The younger cop stood up slowly. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for trespassing, filing a false police report, and attempting to impersonate a homeowners association." Her face broke. "Wait, please, my kids." The older officer looked at me. "You pressing charges?" I nodded once. "Every single one." As they led her out, she shouted over her shoulder, "You'll regret this. You'll never be welcome here." I stepped outside, watching her climb into the back of the cruiser. "Lady," I said quietly, "I fought for this country so I could be here." The wind rolled through the pines. The sun dipped behind the ridge, lighting the valley in gold. I stood there for a long moment, breathing it in. My land. My peace. My freedom. Later that night, I replaced the locks again, this time myself. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of the new security system. I looked at the camera light blinking green and smiled. "Let them come try again," I murmured. "This time, they'll find out who really owns this mountain." And somewhere down the road, the flashing red and blue lights disappeared into the night, taking the last piece of their lives with them.